This is all the.
No, they keep quiet, pretty much. He's lucky they keep quiet.
All right.
Jack, I didn't have.
Find out.
Good for you.
All right.
We like it.
So
Still got it.
today is Daf Kuf Mem Zayin. We left off at the bottom. Sure.
I'll give you a
3 lines, a little strips. So 3 lines from the bottom of Kuf. Kuf Mem Vavam Beis is where we left off.
Oh.
Kuf Mem Vavam Beis. 3 lines from the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So we were discussing yesterday. Oh, we had this our Mishnah, which sort of Paskin held like the Shita says basically you go basar umdana. In other words, if we see what the intentions were, then l'chara that's what he meant, and that came into effect by Shchimera. A guy is dying and he gives away his assets, and turns out he gets better. So did he mean to give it away because he was going to die? He didn't think he was going to live, or did he indeed want to go ahead and give this as a gift? So that was the Mishnah. Let's continue from there. So 3 lines from the bottom. Some
We've been referring to this Mishnah all throughout the.
Yeah, many times it's quoted.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. So man Tana Lohad Tana Rabbanan. So who is the author of this following brass? Tana Rabbanan. Harei Shayachalo Motil Bamita. A guy was sick and he was in bed in his sick bed, deathbed. V'amar lo Echseich Lemi. Who should we give your nechasim to? V'amar and he tells them. Thank you, sir.
Just zero shit. Why do you have to ask?
Seems like something to ask it.
Right. So
You have to give it anyway. If you don't,
maybe because we'll soon see that it was apparent that maybe he didn't have children, right?
Mhm.
And therefore maybe he wanted to, as opposed to going to his other relatives, maybe he wanted to go somewhere else. Well, see, so Avraham Lahan, Daima Shieshli Ben Achshav, right? Actually, Daima Shieshli Ben, right? It used to be, in other words, I thought I had a son, and Achshav Sheishli Ben, but now that I know that I don't have a son, Nechsei Leploni, give my nechasim to my neighbor. Or another case, identical case, a guy was sick and he was in bed, in his deathbed. Who are your nechasim go to? So Amar Lahan, Daima sheishti muberes, right? I used to think that my wife was pregnant, but achshav shein ishti muberes. But now that my wife is not pregnant, Nechsei Leploni, give my nechasim to my neighbor, to whoever. And then afterwards, right, they inform him, right, that he did have a son, or that his wife was pregnant.
That's it became known later.
Right. And I was right.
That's not in necessarily.
The note that right, and it came known, right, that he had a son. And his wife was Muberes. Ein matanasa matana. His gift was not a gift. So who is this like? So Lema Reb Shimon ben Menashe. Let's say this is Reb Shimon ben Menashe. Just reminding Reb Shimon ben Menashe was the one yesterday when the guy, he was the one in the case with his son went off to the Medina Sayyam, and he heard he died. So he says, "I'll give my nechasim to somebody else." And all of a sudden, the son came back, and he says, "No, it was umdana that really he only gave it away because his son, he thought his son was dead." So do over here. So Lema Reb Shimon ben Menashe, even lo Rabbanan. So the Gemara says, "No, I feel him Rabbanan." Over here, right? He didn't just think it, right? He actually said it, right?
He wasn't implying anything.
He wasn't right.
He was straight out.
He's right, exactly. So he says, so the Gemara says, okay, if that's the question, the kari lo my kari. So the one who asked the kasha, so why'd you even ask the kasha? The kari is different, what he says versus just, what we think he was thinking, right? So Mazim, what would you have said? Sorry, maybe he was just sort of, saying out his sufferings or the facts of the case, and not necessarily the reason behind it. So Kamash one that was the reason, and therefore even the Rabbanan would hold it like this. And our Rab how do we see? Where do we know the matnas chimera that a person who's dying is dead, that he doesn't have to go ahead and do a kinyan like normal transactions? Rather, he can just say it. It's how do we know the Raisa? What's the source? The pasuk says. The pasuk says, "V'avartem es nachlaso lebito." It says over there. But then, if he has no sons, then it says, "V'avartem." Throws in the word "v'avartem" for no reason. Nachlaso lebito. So yesh lecha avara acheres shivazu. Right, and it says, "And you will pass over." In this case, the daughter. But there's other passing over. What is that? Shehikazeh. So the ezazu. So matashkimah. There's another type of kinyan that isn't standard. That the guy just dies and it goes to a son. That's if a person has sons and he goes ahead and chooses to give to somebody else on his deathbed. And Rav Nachman Omar Rabbi Ravua says a similar source. Mehacha, it says in Asatem es nachlaso liyachim. It says over there, right? I'm just reading for the pasuk. V'im ein lo bas, and Asatem es nachlaso liyachim. Why didn't you say v'im ein lo bas? Right, nachlaso liyachim. Why is it in the Satem? Right, that he goes out and gives it over. Right, because there's another type of nasina that can basically go to the brothers. That's the matana shechina. So both these cases we see allude to some sort of a case where someone can give over, and that would be referring to the matana shechina. So why they each use their own pasuk? And Rav Nachman, my time lomar me'avar. So why should not use the first pasuk? So ahumi boy, they actually use it for another judge. Look at the Rebbe, the Tanu, and Rabbi Rabbi Yomer, but Kula Nemram behen Nasina. All the cases over there. By Yerusha's over there, it says Lashon Nasina of a Khan, Havara, but it says over there from the sons to the daughter, it used the Lashon Havara, passing over. Saying the Elabas, and the only way for property to go from one Shevet to the other is basically through the daughter, since her children, her sons from another Shevet, or her husband, they will inherit her, and if they're from another Shevet, that's basically how land goes from one Shevet to the other. Reb Zera, my time lomar nesatem. Why did you not use the pasuk from nesatem?
Vara refers to the regular line of inheritance. Is that what it's saying?
What do you mean? According to Rebbe's drasha?
Yeah.
No. So Rebbe's drasha is that that you really want to avoid, right, having go to the daughter, right. Because then at that point it will go from your shevet to another shevet. So it's vavartam. That's like alluding to the pasuk that's how land.
I see. It gets transferred from one shevet
to the other, through her sons because her husband's from another shevet, or her husband inherits her. Then it goes to him. So why do you use the pasuk in the satam? Say orchet the crow. No, there's not an extra lashon. The pasuk is written how it should be. Vein lo bas unasatim es nachasol yachiv. That's the regular pasuk. You can't really darshan from there. So Menashia bar Yirmiyah Amar Mehachi. He says over here different pasuk in is that Malachim? No, man, that's really cool. So it says Bayamim Ahem Chalach Chizkiyahu Lamos. In those days, Chizkiyahu he's getting sick. He was going to die. Vayavo Elav Yishaya ben Amos Hanavi Vayomer Elav Koma Hashem Sav Leveisecha Kimei Sato. Go ahead, Sav. Command your house because you're dying. V'latichen, you're not going to live. So, but Saval B'Yalma, we see just Sav. Speak your family, meaning. Tell them how the estate's going to go, i.e., just through Dibur. So you see over here, right, from this pasuk, that just Dibur, right, was able to go ahead and transfer, i.e., Matash Shchimera. And remember, he says another pasuk, Achitaipa Ro, Kilos Loi Nasta Eitzaso. Achitaipa saw that they didn't basically follow his advice to go ahead and chase down David. Vayechlesh as a chamor, Vayelech al Beisa el Iro. Vayitzav as Beso, and he commanded his house. Vaychanek, right? Then he hanged himself. So over there it says Vayitzav as Beso. In other words, he was Matash Shchimera, right? I guess sort of difficult.
Interesting kind of shimmer,
right? Exactly, right.
Self-imposed one.
So right, but you see, But you see that it could have been, transferred, through just but Saval B'Yam. Right through Tzivah. So Tarabanan, speaking of Achitayv, Shlosh Devarim Tzivah Achitayv as Banav. Al Tiev Machlekes, do not be Machlekes. That is right. The Al Timur do B'Machlas based David. Maybe he's learning from his his bad habits. Yeah. The Yom Tov Shel Atzeres Barur Zarachitim. And if, by the way, if it's Shavuos, if the sky is clear, go ahead. It'll be a good year for wheat. Go ahead and plant wheat. And Marzutra Amar, not Barur, but he says Balul. If it's cloudy, then it's going to be a good year for wheat. So Itamar, Balul Itamar. Sami Nahardi, they said Nahardi Mishmei Rabbi Yaakov. Loy Barur, Barur Mamish doesn't mean that it's Mamish is super clear. Loy Balul, and the one who says cloudy, not super cloudy. Balul Mamish. Ella, rather important is Afilu Balul V'Ruch Tzvainis Minshafto Zohu Barur. As long as there is a northern wind, then now we'll soon see. Don't discuss it more. As long as there's a northern wind, then we say that as long as there's a northern wind, then it will be good. All right. Now, a northern wind, right, is something that comes from the south, right? Or
From the north.
from one second.
It's Northerly nowadays, that's known how to speak. A northern wind is one that comes from the north.
Northern,
Henceforth the name.
a northern. One second.
Yeah.
So right now we're going to call it northern wind. We're still going to get the differences between the two. Yeah. Well, I know, but wait, get to the right. Which one's which? But we'll soon see. So let's see.
That's the source of Groundhog Day, depending on what the weather is that day, it'll determine what's gonna happen.
For the so what is Groundhog's Day? Is it Shavuos, right? So Amr later Rabbi Abba Rav Ashi Anan Ad Rav Yitzchak Bar Avdimei Masnisana. We actually learn we don't look at Shavuos. We actually look at a different time. Dam Rav Yitzchak Bar Avdimi Maitze Yontif Achron Shachag, the last Yontif of Sukkot. Hakol Seifin Lashon. Everyone watches the smoke of Hamaracha, right? The smoke coming up from the pyre by the Mizbech. So not the Klapit Tzfon, if it's going towards the north, right? Right, which would be, I guess, a southern wind, right? So in other words, it's going towards the north, right? So we'll call that a southern wind. So Anim Smechen, Ubali Batim Matzavim. Right, the poor people are happy, and the wealthy people who grow, the farmers, they're sad. Why? Right? Because there's lots of rain, the stuff will rot. So the stuff will rot. They can't keep it in storage. They can't keep it in storage. You got to go ahead and bring it out to the market. Bring it out to the market by supply and demand. Prices will go down. So therefore, the poor people are happy. Not the Klapi Darom if the smoke is going towards the south. Right, it's going towards the south, meaning it's a northern wind. Right. So, right, northern wind is where it comes from. Right. So, Klapi Darom Aniyim Atzavim. Then the poor people are sad. Ubali Batim Smek. They're happy. Why? It's not a lot of rain and therefore they can be stored, and therefore they'll store a lot, and prices will go up. Not the Klapi Mizrach. If it's going towards the east, right? So there's a western wind, let's say coming off the Mediterranean, right? Hakol Smechim, everyone is happy, and Klapi Marav is going westward. Hakol Atzav, everyone is sad. So who says? So let's look at the last two things. You're saying that Klapi Mizrach, right? So let's just make sure we have it all the same. Klape Mizrach is towards the west. In other words, an eastern wind, right? Right, does Klape goes towards east, which means a western wind. I was thinking and reading and talking at the same time, so a lot of times there was a disconnect there, right? So because I'm only pointing out because the next brisa talks doesn't. So over here, this one is talking about where the wind is headed, i.e., it's going. Let's say west, meaning it's an eastern wind. Now, so over here, let's say which is the good one. So, so we say Klape Mizrach, right? Going east, meaning a western wind. Everyone is happy, right? So let's remember that western wind. Everyone is happy. Mizrachis. If the wind is, if it is a Mizrach, it's an eastern wind. Li'elam Yafet. Marav is a western wind. Li'elam Kashet, right? It's always bad. Now we just said opposite, right? We were just so these two, and then it also mentions other things. Ruach Tzfainis. If it's a northern wind headed south, Yafa Lachitin, that's good for wheat. And B'shah Shavi Ushlish, as long as they've already gone a third. If it kasher l'zeisim, B'shah Yanitzu, and it's bad for olives when they're blossoming. And a southern wind, right? Kasher l'chitim is bad for wheat b'shah shavishlis when it goes a third. And it's good for the olives once they're blossoming. And how do you remember which one in north is good for wheat or oil or for the olives or not? So right? The shulchan was in the northern part in the base of Mikdash, also in the Mishkan, right? The shulchan was in the north and the menorah in the south. Therefore, a north wind is good for what went on the shulchan, lechem apanim, right? So that's wheat, right? They're very good. So therefore, north is good for wheat, and the menorah, right, which is oil, zaysim. So that was a southern wind. That's the way to remember it. Nevertheless, let's get back to our kashas. Our kashas is one seemed to say that the western wind was blowing east, right? So was good. right? And the other one says that it's bad. So the Gemara says, and so the Gemara answers first word again. So hi Marbi Day, hi Marbi Day. Right. So it comes to the north one. The north is good for that which goes in it, i.e., the northern wind is good for the wheat, and the southern wind is good for the olives, which is the oil. So and now we have a contradiction. So the kasha one, the second brisa is actually referring to in Bavel. Now in Bavel, they grew stuff, and Eretz Yisrael grew stuff, but in Bavel they didn't need a lot of rain. So therefore, if there was a lot of rain, right? So a lot of rain that it would be detrimental to Bavel, but it'd be good for Eretz Yisrael, right? And it'd be opposite if there's a little rain. So that's good. It'd be good for Bavel, but bad for Eretz Yisrael. And that's the difference between the two. So when they said it was good, let's go back and figure out which one is which. And where's Ramini? Is right above that. Right. So he says if it's going towards the east, meaning a western wind, it was good. It was good. All right, western wind, it was good. That means a western wind, and that was good for Eretz Yisrael. Brings in the rain. But it's bad for Bavel. That was the one where it says is bad. Fine. Tanya, 3 lines in the bottom. Tanya Abisholoimir Yom Tov Shatzeres Barur. If the Yom Tov of Shavuos was clear, then Siman Yafa the Kol Hashana Kula, then it's a good siman for the entire year. And Amarav Zvid Ha Yom Mekama Rosh Shasa. No, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, Chamim Kula Shasa Chamima. Right? If it's warm, the entire year will be warm. And if it's cold, Kula Shasa, the entire year is going to be a cold year. So Lamai Nafkamina. Wants the nafkamina, the tfiloso, turn the page, the tfiloso shel Kohen Gadol, the tefillah of the Kohen Gadol when he goes into the Kodesh HaKadoshim to say a special tefillah. If it was known it was going to be a cold year, please maybe don't make it too cold.
And it went straight up the snow.
Right.
So what do you do then?
Right. Well, so it was always going straight up. Right, it was even on the windy days, right?
Or yellow sign, one of the miracles.
It could be right, something, right? Yeah, but I think one of the miracles that was maybe the rain never put it out. The rain never put it out. Right, yeah. So I mean, over here it doesn't say it was like blowing out. It says like night. It was like leaning, like a little bit. So maybe it's, I don't know, but after that day, that's when the simon was. But it appeared that it might have gone a little, a little bit. And top line on Kuf Mem Zayin obeys and V'Rav Amar Rav Nachman Matnas Shchimera Midrabanan B'Yalma. It's only Midrabanan, not these psukim that you're bringing. It's really Midrabanan. Right? Those are just the smachtas, right? Why? What was the reason why Matnas Shchimera was instituted by Chazal? So Shevet Yitarev died to Allah, but now the guy's going to be so upset. He's going to be so agitated in his deathbed. How do you give it to? I want to give it to them. I have to make a kinyan. I need Adam here. I need my lawyer here. He's all worried. He's all worried. He might die sooner. So we don't want him to be agitated. Just say what you want, and therefore that will be chal. So therefore, Shemot Rav loved I told love. Or says, you me Amar Rav Nachman Hachi. The Rav Nachman say it was merely midrabanan. Rav Nachman says, Afal Gav the Amar Shmuel Hamaycher Shtarchay LeChavero. If I go ahead and I sell, right, Avrami owes me $100. Avrami owes me $100. So now I have a document basically worth $100 as long as you collect it from Avrami. I go to Meir. I said, Meir, you want a document? I'll sell it to you for $70. Meir says, sure thing. Make a quick $30. So I sell it today on Tuesday to Meir. Then tomorrow I go to Avrami and I say, you know what? I'm Michael alone because I'm Michael. Huh?
The mayor never speaks to you again.
Right. He's going to try and get his money from me and he'll be upset, but it works. Michael. So according to Shmuel, even in this, V'afilu Yaresh Michael. Not only that, the guy has a document. The guy sold his document and he died. Okay. And the Yaresh, right, who really inherits his father's debts and his father's fables, he goes out as Michael, right? Because his father was the Baal Dovar in the document. So he can be Michael. Nevertheless, even though we say this, let's say the guy who died actually gave away the so he gave it to somebody else, right? He gave it as a matana to to mayor. Okay, then the guy died, and then his son can no longer. The guy who died, his son can no longer be Michael alone. Now, if you say deraisa, if you say matan shchimra is deraisa, so therefore it's like the guy's son didn't inherit the document. The recipient of the matana was the new Yaresh Midaraisa. So that's the reason why the Yaresh, the true Yaresh, the son of the guy who died, can't be Michael alone, because you have no shaykhus to that, because you didn't inherit that document. You inherited the other stuff. You didn't inherit that document that was given to the neighbor as a matar shkineras, as Midaraisa. Eli matar derabanan. If he says derabanan, the guy is still the Yaresh Midaraisa. Therefore, the Yaresh should have some shaykhus to that loan document that his father took. He should be able to be Michael. So my answer is right. It's not Midaraisa, but they made it with the strength of a deraisa that even the Yaresh is like now the Yaresh when it comes to this, right? When it comes to the money, it's like the other guy was now the Yaresh. And Amarav Nachman Shchim Rosh Amar Yodir Pliny B'Bayzeh. So a guy's dying and he says, let Bob, he can go ahead and live in this house. Or Yachol Pliny Peiros Dekel Zeh, or let Bob be able to eat from this fruit tree for the next 10 years. Lo Omar Klum. He has not said anything. Ad Sheyomar Tnu Bayzeh Leploni, because the first item was Davar Shem Bo Mamish, right? And it does not exist. It's just he could live there. He didn't give him the house. He just could live there. So that you can't do. But if he says, Ad Sheyomar Tnu Bayzeh Leploni, Rav Yadirbo, give the house to him, let him live there, or Tnu Dekel Zeh Leploni V'Yachol Peiros, or give the tree to him so he can go ahead and eat his fruits. Then that works. So Gemara says, Lameimra the Sabar of Nachman Milsa the Isa Bebaria Isa B'Shchimra. However, the less of Bebaria, less of B'Shchimra. Is it only something that now since I can give as a gift, right? Or when I'm alive, right? Give it over, right, for him to live in the house, or fruits that don't exist. But since that doesn't work when you're healthy, therefore it won't work as a matnas shchimera. And but if it does work, then you could give a matnas shchimera. So what about this case? So let's go. I have Homer from Rav Nachman. So Rav says in Nachman shchiv meiro shamar tnu havasi leplini. The shchimera says, right, that let's say he lent someone money, right, and it's a milva peh. The guy lent someone money, and he's dying, and he tells his son, and he says, okay, so the guy's supposed to pay him $100 cash. He says, the nurse, you've been so nice to me. This guy owes me $100 from yesterday, right? So he can pay you. So Tnu havasi leploni. So he says Tnu havasi leploni. So it says havasi leploni. It works. It goes to that person. The afagav the less of baria, but that doesn't work by milva peh in the case of bari. The guy's health, and he says, okay, right. So pay somebody else. That doesn't work. You can't just tell the person because
you can't just give it this. You can say, here, give me $70.
Well, it's a milva peh, so there's no shar he's giving over. So right. So I'm talking to you, and Avrami owes me $100. I can't say to you the $100 that Avrami owes me, he'll pay you. He'll give you. That does not work.
You need a star for that.
Huh?
Star to do that?
If it was a star, that was we're soon going to get it. I mean, I don't want to give away the punchline. It was actually bothering me why it doesn't work, because we actually saw, I think it was 2 days ago, we actually saw a case where it does work, right? So let's see. So Tute Rutzim, Rav Papa Mar Hoyov Yaresh Yarsha. Since it does work. Why? Since a Yaresh does inherit the father's milva al peh. So the father gave away, lent people money without documents. Nevertheless, they still have to go ahead and pay him back. It's not pay the Yaresh back. So since someone's Yarshins it, so therefore he can give it away. And Rav Acha B'Rei Ravika Mar Halva Isa Babaria. No, this actually does exist. Like Alan's saying, why not? Rav Huna says, Rav Huna Rav Manali Biyad. I have $100 of mine in your hands. You owe me money. Right? In other words, you owe me $100, Alan, and so instead of paying me back, I owe Mark $100, pay Mark. All right. So, and if we do it, but my done, then Kana, then that does work. So that is indeed why doesn't it work? Actually, it does work as long as the three parties are there. Then it does work. So I was bothered by the Gemara. So turns out that it does work, and therefore, since it does work that way, therefore it can work by a case of matnas shchinara.
With a mamash.
So that literally, I was just thinking that. I guess. We'll stop here. Let me just look over here. The husband ben Milva ben because on Apaga because of also the less of varia. That's the shivra. Feel hockey. Fine. Yeah. So I think with the third, according to this teretz.
Mamash.
Sure.
Right. Or it could be that since we see that it does work, that is shaykh of Alan, it could be that equal without the third person. Yeah, it will probably equal without the third person. Right. The chiddush is, hi Mayor.
Hi, Rabbi Shkayach.
Shkayach. Safe travels. Have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Have a good day.
This is very early, this thing. For you, it's not a big deal. I know you get up at 4, you don't see it. What, 10:45? Oh, you get an hour more vacation. He was bowling his eyes out. I'm gone. I guess it is over, so I don't know. So he's coming out. He'll still be on time. Yeah. All right, it's all good.